G'day fellas and welcome to another casted game. Spawning in on the south side of the map, we've got Clinks Eastwood. Yes, Clinks Eastwood, not Clint Eastwood. We've got Clinks Eastwood. He's going to be playing the Abbasid Dynasty, going to be playing in the color blue for us today. The map, of course, is Hill and Dale. You know it, you love it. It's actually one of those maps where you can pretty much reliably play it without too much of a hassle. And look at the spawn that we've got. We've actually got a beautiful spawn with regard to relics. 3 evenly across the middle, 1 up to the top, 1 down to the south. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Now, obviously, this is the PUP. There's been a whole bunch of changes to the PUP, the public update preview, and includes map changes. So that is one of the changes. You've got more consistent spawnings now of maps, and that should hopefully mean that we've got less queue dodging, because that has definitely been an issue I've been facing as I've been climbing the competitive ladder. But speaking of climbing the competitive ladder, ladies and gentlemen, over on the north side of the map, we've got Hut, who is playing in the Holy Roman Empire red, dropping down his house, looking to avoid getting his himself a little bit housed right there, but manages to spot out the big gold vein. Opts for that instead of going for the slightly closer but smaller gold vein. I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but anyway, let's talk a little bit about this. So obviously Hut on the Holy Roman Empire here, they've had quite a few changes. The Abbasid Dynasty also quite a few changes in the PUP. The PUP most recently, gosh, I can already see the comments on YouTube saying, stop saying PUP. You said PUP 17 times in the opening 2 minutes stronger, you crazy dog. Okay, good point. So in this preview, there's a whole bunch of changes. So as an example, for the Abbasid Dynasty, we've seen changes to their camels. So their camel rider as well as their camel archer, both stronger. So the way that they've done that, the way that they've made it stronger is they've taken away the bonus damage that it does and just given it higher base attack. So it's less specialized and more general. So this is a really good change. Obviously, if you could do, like, if you look at the scout, obviously it does 2 damage and then 10 versus scouts. Imagine if it just did 12 damage. That would be totally different. My phone just went off then. I apologize to you guys. I'm gonna have to turn that bad boy onto silent right there. I got some peeps hitting me up saying, hey Drongo, you want to go for some custard time? No, I don't want to go for some custard time. I got all the custard I need right here with you guys in the custard games. But Hut, on the other hand, he's playing the Holy Roman Empire. Now, the Holy Roman Empire also getting changed quite a bit. As you guys know, they are a civilization that's reliant on their late game power. So in particular, we've seen the Ragnitz Cathedral. We've also seen the Palace of Swabia receive nerfs. So the Ragnitz Cathedral used to provide space for 3 relics, now only provides space for 2 relics. And the Palace of Swabia, now the equivalent to only 3 town centers rather than 4 town centers, which it was before. So taking it nice and slowly, and we can see that Hut already on some straggler trees here. Keep in mind his villages are always going to be more effective at going long distance. Well, did I say stragglers? Not on some stragglers. He's just doing some long distance chopping. But he's carrying back 4 more wood in this situation now. So that's going to help him out. And we do have our landmark going down. It's going to be the Meinwerk Palace. So finally, we are seeing things develop when it comes to the meta. A little bit more openness. Now, obviously, people used to love going for that Ark and Chapel. And I'm sure that they still will. But I think it's going to depend on probably like your spawn and whether you've actually got a good spawn. So if we take a look here from Hut's perspective, he probably comes into this game, he thinks, all right, I'm going to go for a fast castle. Like that's your game plan. You're like, all right, I've got my favorite Holy Roman Empire on Hill and Dale. What am I going to do? Well, I'm up against the Abbasid, so I'm just going to go for a fast castle and, you know, and that's it. I'll grab my relics and everything will be good. Well, hold on a minute. If you want to do that, you're going to have a pretty good spawn. Now, he definitely could have gone for an Archon like right here. If he does that, he gets the berries, he gets the deer, he also gets this little wood line. But that's it. That's it. It's not particularly juicy. Ideally, you'd want to have a gold mine, a wood line, and a scout not whistling at very loud amounts. That was a very loud whistle right there, Mr. Scout. But yeah, so essentially, because he hasn't had or found a juicy Archon spot, it changes his perspective, one of the two, and means that he's now going to go for the Meinwork instead. So pretty smart move here. I'm curious to see what direction he's going to go for, whether he looks to go archers, whether he looks to go infantry, because there are a lot of upgrades in the Meinwerk Palace. So for anybody unfamiliar with the Meinwerk Palace and just the way that it works, it is a blacksmith. And it gives you discounts on your blacksmith upgrade. So it means that you are paying less. So you can see that it's 30% less. And one of the new things that changed in the most recent patch is that it also researches 30% faster. And this can be really good because it can take a while to get all your upgrades out. I think each upgrade takes about a minute. We can check once the Meinwerk Palace is complete at how long the discounted rates are. So I suspect if it takes a minute, 30% of that would be 42 42 seconds that it would take. That's if it's a minute. Otherwise, it would be, let's have a look. 46 seconds. So it looks like it probably takes a minute and 5 seconds, I'm going to assume, or a minute and 10 seconds maybe. I'm not too sure, but you can see already starting off with marching drills. So going to be going for marching drills. Increases the movement speed of infantry by 10%. And calm down. Listen to that music. You know, the levels in this game are always something I have a difficult time with when it comes to music and volume. I think it's partly because of the effects. So effects really govern almost everything in this game. It's like, you know, all of the interactions between the units, all of your alarms going off, all of your warning triggers, you know, population capacity reach, that sort of thing. It is all governed by sound effects. And so I normally reduce that down, but then the consequence is that you get everything else a little bit louder. But it looks like Hutt going to be going for double archery range here. So looking for, he's going for the Meinwerk Palace, and then also going for a double archery range. Now, on the opposite side, Clinks hasn't actually scouted this. He's probably just playing blind into the Holy Roman Empire, expecting that there is going to be some sort of fast castle shenanigans involved here. He's not wanting to get into it. You can see that second town center coming down at 6 minutes 15. Very nice and early there from him. But now we've got those units beginning to move out across the map. Multiple scouts in the base now. Hutt really scouting out his enemy here. And you got to say, like, this is impressive stuff coming through, because he's now going into Steeled Arrow and then straight into siege engineering. He is really just going into mass upgrades here. And I love to see this coming out from Hutt. It makes a lot of sense, and you can see how fast these units are moving. 1.38 movement speed. It's pretty darn quick. That's faster than a spear. A spear is 1.25. I'm pretty sure the archer is 1.25 as well. But then the longbow, as an example, let's say you're playing against English, which have got like 1.16 movement speed. The longbows, you significantly outspeed those guys. So as soon as you get a bigger mass than your enemy English player, as an example, you can immediately just catch them and kill them. And of course, they get in those early upgrades as well, which means that you're always going to be taking great and effective trades against your enemy. Obviously, it's at the consequence of not having units. But when you can't really afford to invest in too much infrastructure, it makes a lot of sense to be putting it into upgrades like this. So now we see siege engineering coming through so early. So instead of getting like iron undermesh as an option, he just goes straight into that. Now, the second town center has obviously come out for Clinks. He's going to be seeing these archers on his front line, knows that he needs to get up a wall, so a bit of a defensive wall coming through here. Now, one thing to note, enemy units can still get through here. You see how he's actually built that? There's a tiny little gap between there and the edge of the wall, and it's so stupid. I actually got done by this in a game that I played just earlier today, and I literally just quit the game. I'm like, I expected this wall, I expected this pillar was going to be fine. It wasn't, and I was just like, nah, well, that's it. Game's over. Bad game. You know, I didn't say GG. I'm not the type of guy. Not for a game like that. But, yeah, it wasn't pretty. So it looks like Clink's going to get caught out by that as well. You saw the archers move in underneath there for a little bit. But now Hutt going to be looking to get on the defensive. You can see he's got so much food stacked up in the bank. Obviously, having two archery rangers just pumping out units all the time means he's really going to be falling behind there on the wood. And now pumping out units. Going to need to add in a couple more rangers if he really wants to get this going. Now, Hutt, for anybody unfamiliar, has played Age of Empires 4 for pretty much the entire time it's been playable. He actually came up with a triple range ram push that was very popular back in the beta. It was actually the king of the beta meta. So eventually we did see people learn how to play up against it, and that was back when horsemen weren't the best. I think they started off with 0 armor themselves, and then we gave them +1 armor, and then we gave them +2 armor, and now it's like, okay, well, horsemen are actually decent now, so you probably can't just do a triple range opening. But already you can see that he looks like he's going to be pushing in here. Still no other military buildings added at this point in time, just sticking with the double range. Just a few units in queue, and look at the upgrades that are coming through. Wheelbarrow, double broadaxe also coming through. What else has he got in here? Just going to be the wheelbarrow for now, but he's really like maximizing his upgrades at this point. Now coming in with the battering ram. Got to be a little bit careful here. We'll take off the fog of war and have a look exactly what's going on. Villagers are in here and they're getting picked off one by one, so you've got to be careful. Let's have a look and see if they've got their textile upgrade. They do not yet have their textile upgrade, but you can see he's working on the lumber camps. Interesting decision to go for this lumber camp of all the camps, and we now hear that a couple of reinforcements getting picked up by the scout in the middle of the map. Scout going to be wailing away, And now that battering ram, got to be careful. It's moving forward, and you can see he is using or abusing the tree line of sight, now coming in with the next ram and really looking to apply pressure here, trying to actually get through to this second town center, but puts himself in a bit of an awkward spot. He's got to be careful. Horseman now coming out. You can see these guys have got the +1 armor, or +1 ranged attack. No armor coming through just yet for them. Got to be careful. You can see he's trying his best to micro. Battering ram's going to get taken out if Hut's not careful. And Horseman probably needed 1 or 2 more, would have been able to take that out, but still no spears coming in just yet for Hut. And you can see now that the new Meinwerk Palace really sort of helps out with this early push, the early damage that comes out. And look at the villagers that he's trading away, doing such a great job of just picking them out. Right now, Hut sits on 33 villagers, 36 for Clinks Eastwood. So, you know, that is really what Hut wants. He wants to just keep trading out villagers. So a little bit of a waste right there coming through from Clinks. And he's got 15 idols at the moment as well. And you never really want to have that many idols. 6 in the first town center, 9 in the second town center. And now another battering ram going to get made. We'll check back in on the base of Hut. And it looks like we're actually going to have double barracks coming through. So might be looking to get in some spear. Actually, it's just going to be men-at-arms. Of course, he's playing the Holy Roman Empire. And interestingly, this was one of the strats back in the day in the beta. So I guess we're sort of revisiting the beta here in a way. The Meinwerk Palace was considered one of the stronger landmarks initially before people moved on to the Ark and Chapel. And it was very common. People would just do a double racks men-at-arm timing. And I remember there were posts on the official forums. I think it was in like the NDA stuff, so maybe I can't really say, but they were just like words to the effect of, how the hell do I beat men-at-arm timing pushes? And I remember I was one of those guys, because I was like, I was playing until like 15 minutes and men-at-arms were just killing me every single game. And then I worked out that there was a little bit of a trick to beating them. But now you can see that Hut manages to push back his enemy. Once again, the battering ram does get traded out. But he forces a relatively even trade there. You can hear that music just popping off. So the trick to actually beating the men-at-arms is getting up to the 3rd age at a reasonable time and not staying in age 2 the entire time trying to fight them. Because in lower numbers, you definitely can go cavalry, also horsemen, as well as archers, do quite well into them. But once you start getting up around like these 25, 30 men-at-arms and they've got the full upgrades, which you can see, starting to get, this is when it starts to get really difficult to deal with without crossbows. So that's the big thing. The other effective counter is the knight as well. But once it starts getting to this point where you've got like fully upgraded men-at-arms, these guys move fast as well, 1.254 tiles. Obviously, that is owed to the fact that we've got those extra upgrades. But now you can see all of the infrastructure coming through here, all down to that Meinwerk Chapel, or Meinwerk Palace rather. Meinwerk Palace? Meinwerk Palace. A lot of palaces. Arkan Chapel, Meinwerk Palace. Gosh, there's a lot of religious institutes. Actually, a palace isn't religious, is it? No, I don't think it is. But now going to continue pushing in. Got the double battering rams out. Now beginning to switch into men-at-arms. So already with the +1 ranged attack out. Now looking to defend here. No spears actually to hold on against these horsemen. And you can see the villager's going to look to try and take out these battering rams. He's going to focus down the battering rams, working his way down the hill. You can see his villagers just chasing away. I'm curious if we've got our textiles yet. Still no textiles. And at the same time, it actually looks like Hut might get cleaned up here. You can see that, oh no, never mind. The men-at-arms are going to be coming through here. Men-at-arms doing so much work. That extra +1 armor just helping out so much against the archers, which have only got 5 damage versus the 4 armor of the men-at-arms. So they basically tickle them completely. The villagers managed to take out the battering ram. Let's take a look and see what the damage is. 44 villagers versus 42 for Hut right now. So still managing to equalize this position, but at the same time, Hut continuing to push in, manages just to fall back in this position. It looks like Clinks does hold on, but the real question is, how do you deal with these units now that they're starting to build up? And the answer is probably the Camel Archer would be the best way to go. Camel Archers, especially after this most recent patch that have come through with the pup, are very strong, have a very high base damage as well as being effective against spearmen. Obviously, they don't trade particularly well against archers, but they do trade very well up against those men-at-arms. But now we see Hut really coming for the kill at this point in time. And once again, Clinks is going to have to be sitting and holding on to his seat. We'll take a look at how he's doing. 48 villagers at the moment. He's got villagers in queue. He's got a few villagers in queue, I guess you could say. Just 11 villagers in queue. It says that they're 50 food? Oh my god, he went up with the economic wing, but he never got fresh foodstuffs. Clinks! Not like this, Clinks! You forgot the most important tech in the game. No, Clinks, maybe you could have held Clinks, but it's not looking like you're going to be able to do it now. Battering rams coming in. looking to seal the deal here, and you can just see the overwhelming amount of units now coming out from his enemy. Hut just doing absolute work. Villagers going to be coming in from all sides. Everybody to the dance floor, because it's time to take out these battering rams, but unfortunately, these are full-cost villagers. They are really, really expensive to be throwing away to the archers like this, and you can see Hut doing that and in a great position here, cleaning up the forces of his enemy, and I think that might be it, ladies and gentlemen, because I can't see any possible way that Clinks is going to be able to come back from this. So well played over to Hut. Beautiful base layout. I got to say, I love it. The 4 archery ranges, the 2 barracks, and of course, the Meinwerk Palace on the back. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Good game gets called. Hut victorious. Another beautiful game from Hut right there. And I got to say, the new Holy Roman Empire, it's looking very, very strong.